Buddy, my name's Ken Duncan. I happen to be your first vice president. The board has been very good at listening to proposed changes that you guys would like to see. We're trying to do them in lots. Okay? Meaning we're not going to go through and gut the entire thing, no. But we're trying to make changes so that they can be more effective and more responsive to what your current needs are. All right. Again, welcome this morning. I thank you for your attendance. Questions are appreciated. All right. I think I've given you all copies of the proposed changes. All right. Those that have never seen us do these changes, if you're looking at the paperwork and it says that it is striked through, that means that it is being deleted or reworded. Okay? Underlining means that it's an addition. Okay? So you see both what the current section reads and what the proposed changes are. All right, we only have Carol for a brief period of time this morning due to things that are occurring at the office. I understand there have been questions in regards to have we followed procedures. Yes, we have worked with Steve Metzer all the way through this entire process. Okay. Carol, would you like to comment on that, please?
Okay. According to the bylaws, in order to change them, we have to post a notice 14 days ahead of the meeting, and the meeting must be held 30 days before the vote. And we started talking with the attorney. My first email, I believe, was September 9th. And I do have paperwork up here where he's crossed things out and made corrections. And Steve Metzer is our attorney. He works with the state and the Florida statutes to make sure that we were following everything we were supposed to do. So we have followed procedure to have the meeting, and we have consulted with our attorney and got his assistance in making sure that we do this legally according to Florida statutes.
Gotta bear with me, I'm not used to spending this much time in front of a mic. All right, as you can see, Article 5, Section 8. All right. The original statement that was made in there was continuous or numerous absentees from attending the board meeting without an apparent cause or excuse may be cause for the board to recommend a recall vote to members. All right, the proposed change. Any director absent from 3 consecutive monthly board meetings shall be automatically removed as a member of the board of directors. After the second consecutive absence, the secretary of the board will send a letter to the director informing the director that he or she must attend the next meeting. A director is eligible for reappointment to fill his or her position on the board. All right? We thought it was very important to you guys because numerous means one thing to me, it may mean something else to another member, it may mean something else to a third member. All right? The only reason we made the change is because we thought it was very important that the members that you elect to this board be here. They have an obligation to you. The other reason we chose 3 is that's 1/4 of the year. Okay, does anybody have any questions on that section? Yeah, right here. Or wherever you guys want to run with the mics,
Okay, I just have a question. When they say a director is eligible for reappointment, okay, to fill his or her position, does that mean that they can automatically come back to their position, or do they have to be voted in again? And the other part of the question is, not that it would ever happen often, but if somebody is ill, like say COVID, chemo, anything like that, couldn't they FaceTime? I mean, they shouldn't be persecuted or
No, that was not the purpose of the changing, all right, in regards to COVID, chemo, or an excusable absence, all right?
It doesn't say that though.
All right.
It doesn't say an excusable absence though. Unless there is an excusable absence, accepted by the board or, voted on by the board.
We took it to the attorney for excused absences. He wants to know, somewhere in here, what is an excused absence? In order to have that, we would have to list what is excusable and what is not.
Well, that's what I'm saying, we don't have to vote on it, or I want you to vote.
No, I'm just saying, that's why we didn't say excused absences, because then we would have to explain what is excusable and what isn't.
Okay, so it doesn't mean that they can automatically come back to say secretary.
No, if they were sick, let's say they had chemo and they were unable to attend, okay. Yes, they missed their 2 meetings, they get the letter, and then the board can, if they're all better now and can come back, the board can reappoint them back on the board.
Okay, so they don't lose their position.
No.
Okay, okay. Well, yeah, they can. They can lose their position.
No, there's no reason why they're not attending.
No, but I'm saying if it's an excuse,
Yes.
the board can put them back as secretary or something. Okay.
Okay, so in wording that, wouldn't it be worthwhile putting in like extenuating circumstances? And then have the board member let the rest of the board know what the extenuating circumstances are? I mean, if somebody has a death and then God forbid they fall and need surgery, we're gonna kick them off the board? That's
No,
kind of what
no.
you're saying.
No, that wasn't the purpose that wasn't the purpose behind that. All we wanted to do was make the members of the board accountable to the membership, all right? The board itself, all right, has some common sense. If you're under chemo or COVID or your family member dies, those are going to be all classified as acceptable and excusable absences, you know what I mean? We just wanted to make it so that the board was accountable to the membership.
Well, it's fine, but I just think the wording should let the membership know that these things are going to be taken into consideration. The other thing is, if you're going to correct Section 8 of Article 5, then you need to look at Section 7 of Article 5 in the bylaws, which states, any director may be recalled and removed in accordance with Florida statutes. Florida Statute 720.3.5 states that a member of the board of directors may be recalled or removed with or without cause by a majority of the total voting interest in the homeowners association. So 7 and 8, if you're rewriting 8, 7 totally conflicts with 8.
We spoke to the attorney about that, and he said for currently leave Section 7 alone. He says what we want to do is we want to do this in small chunks in order to perfect the verbiage text.
But they talk about the same subject. You're changing one and going to leave the other with a conflict between the two?
No, it's under rewrite currently. But what we're saying is we wanted the board members to be accountable to the membership. And 720 requires such a monstrous task in order to do a recall. All right? If someone is absent, we've got that current situation right now. All right, we have had someone turn in their stuff, but we do not have a letter of resignation. We cannot remove them.
So, but by creating what you're doing, you're going against 720 and 617s.
It says continuous or numerous absences. How many is that? That's all we're trying to do is clarify how many is continuous or numerous, and that's 3 consecutive board meetings.
You're also changing the fact that the board is going to dismiss them versus them having to be voted out by the membership. That is a big difference.
Okay, well, all I can tell you is this was taken to the attorney, and that's the verbiage he gave us.
One more comment. One more comment, and that's it. If you're not going to be very specific, you're going to have people come to the meeting, and I've been there, and they're going to say, well, in the bylaws, it says there are so many people, well, not so many, a few people that do that, which is very annoying. But yes, they do it. If they have a problem like that, they should write a letter, give it to the board, and not spend a half hour discussing the cloud or whatever. That's it, I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Do I have any other comments or questions? If not, we'll proceed. Go ahead, Jerry, grab Mike first.
Okay, I wasn't gonna say anything about this, but somebody else brought it up a while ago, because I fit this precisely because of the stroke and heart attack I had last year as well. So how does he proceed? I'm gonna ask you, Carol, how did Messer get around that fact is that the only way a board member can be removed is by a recall? So what did he say that would get around that? Because his own website, Becker College says in their website that the only way a director can be removed is by a recall. So I want to know how, and I'm sure these other people want to know, how did he somehow, I don't know, did you say twist this around to get around 720? Because the only way a board member can be removed is by a recall.
I don't have an answer for that.
Okay, because we had the same issue with another director last year, and he told us at that time, and you were there as well, that we could not remove them from the board. So I want to know what's changed from last year to now to make this okay. I mean, I'm sure that there's condominium associations, HOAs that have the same problem with board members not wanting to do anything. But where does it change 720? Okay. Okay.
Hi, I'm Lisa, and the wording is a recall from the way it is written right now. And it's going to be changed to 3 consecutive monthly board meetings. That's what's changing.
Well, it says automatically there, it says automatically in that shall automatically be removed, and that's not the one that's before. It said it say for
We're
small.
not discussing the one for this. We're discussing this particular Article 5, Section 8. We're not discussing Section 7.
No,
That
we're
will be
discussing
brought
Section-
up later on when we change that wording. So why you're going to discuss wording that is not before you is irrelevant. We're talking about this wording. This wording says a recall vote to the members. That's being changed to 3 consecutive monthly board meetings
Yeah,
shall
but-
automatically.
Okay, but it says automatically, and you can't remove a board member. By automatically, the board cannot remove a board member for being absent from the board.
They say we're going to change the
You
wording.
can't change the wording because the recall is exactly what 720 says, recommend recall vote of members. That's exactly what it says. It don't say that the board can automatically remove somebody.
Okay, let's keep this in a very low key. We're not attacking anybody. These are just proposed changes. You are allowed to vote on each and every section. If you do not like the verbiage text used, just vote no. All right, each one of these on the proposed changes are going to have a yes, no vote. If you want it, say yes. If you don't, say no. All right.
Ken, can you just clarify one thing that maybe the members have to understand is the major difference in this change is that now the board of directors will have the authority to remove members of the board of directors where prior to and according to Florida statutes, it has to be done by the majority vote of the homeowners. It is a big difference, and am I correct in the difference of your verbiage? This one is taking away that the homeowners vote on whether a board of directors have to be removed and giving the board the direct authority to do this and taking it away from the homeowners. Is that correct?
Well, the biggest thing about this one is it specifies and takes away the term numerous. All right? Numerous to me can be 3 to 6. Okay? Mary, it may be something different for you. I don't know what falls under your category of numerous. All we tried to do was specify, because we didn't think it was fair to the membership to have a board position sit there and not know why that person or that elected official is not attending meetings.
Okay, understand totally, you want to limit it to that, but you are removing the main factor of who has the right to dismiss a board member. You are taking that authority upon yourselves by approving this to have the power to remove a board member when 720s and 617s says it's got to be by majority vote of the homeowners. And that's a bigger change than you're changing the word numerous.
Well, all right, we can remove them from their office. We cannot remove them from the board per se, at least as far as I understand. We're going to go back to Steve Metzer. I thought we had covered all the questions. And I will have an answer, I'm hoping, by this next coming meeting. Carol, can you get that out today? And get a clarification, all right? I think it warrants it. That's the purpose of having meetings like this, is so we can discuss stuff like this.
Right, because 720 says you can remove, a board can remove a person from office, meaning president, vice president, but 720 does not say you have the right to remove them from the actual board as a board of director.
That's why we're going to go back out to Steve and ask for the potential question in regards to the possibility of a conflict.
Very
All
good.
right.
Thank you very much,
You're
Carol.
very welcome. Thank you. Are there any other questions? All right, we've only got 5 more minutes for Carol. So if any of you have questions for Carol in regards to the administrative functions and the questions that went out to Steve Metzer, I would like you to ask them now, because I've only got 30 minutes of her time this morning, so thank you.
Just a very quick question, Carol. How are you plan on putting these changes out? On what ballot, or are you planning a separate mailing for them?
Going out with the budget.
So the budget hasn't been sent to the printer yet?
Yes, it's gone to the printers, and they've gone with it.
And these have gone with them for, already, so basically you're planning these changes no matter what our questions are, if you are already putting them in, planning to put them in the ballot.
But you can vote no, we had it.
No, and I
online.
understand that, so, okay, so if the board did not vote upon this like they do the budget or anything else, a select group just picked these changes and they were automatically put in with the budget. I just want to be sure I'm clear on what I'm hearing and saying. Is that correct?
Several board members, myself, were in touch with it, and the attorney went through this so we could get it on the budget, on the vote for the November.
Okay, so it was not done by the full board. This does not have the approval of the full board. Technically, there was no vote taken on it. It was just several board members put into the printer and be included in our budget.
That's
Okay.
correct.
All right, can we go on to Article 6, Section 3? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank Carol for coming out this morning. She's running short-staffed at the office. Thank you, Carol. All right. This one is in regards to the unit reps. We've had, again, we want the unit reps to be held accountable to the membership because we clarified and specified the number and took away numerous. It's the same as the board of directors. Any questions? Val, go ahead.
Wait for the mic. He's coming.
Mike's coming.
This rule would eliminate snowbirds. And according to the rules that we have, it just says it's strongly recommended that they be full-time residents. So do you realize that then we wouldn't have any representation by snowbirds?
The snowbird issue has been an issue for quite a while. Does it need to be specifically addressed? Yes. I think they're a very integral and very important part of our membership. How to do that per se is a logistics, and it's being looked at. We have other options that are available to us, i.e. Zoom, such as what we're doing today. We have another sort of variety of things that are available to us where they can be in attendance, all right? But right now, currently, our bylaws are not set to accept stuff like that, all right?
Right here. You want to do it?
No, I think he just addressed it.
You just addressed it, okay. All right. Yeah, we don't need to listen to
Linda Toporski, I'm the chair of
that. Okay.
the unit reps.
Yeah.
Am I to understand that you're saying we're part of the board? As far as I know, we're a volunteer group of people.
If you go back and read your documents, you will find that the unit reps are considered an arm of the board, and thus You are basically an extension of the board. Being that in the 12 years that I've been here, I have never seen an election for a unit rep. It's always been done by appointment. Why should a unit rep who assumes that position not be held to the same standards as the board of directors? It should be equal all the way around.
Because we're volunteers.
And I'm not a volunteer.
We're not elected to the board. We're volunteering to help you in whatever way we can, but really, the bylaws are supposed to be laws by which the board operates, not, you shouldn't have any say of.
Okay, I don't know how to approach that one without being politically incorrect. The unit reps are an arm of the board of directors. They are volunteers. We are all volunteers. I volunteered to be elected, okay? But they should also have the same attendance policy, all right? And all we're trying to do is uniform the attendance. Go ahead.
This is Beverly Epstein, I'm a unit rep, Unit 6. We had a consensus at our meeting on Tuesday, we reviewed this, and the consensus among the unit reps was they don't agree with this. Why are the board meetings so important for us to attend when you don't include our regular meetings as part of that? We just sit on the side and we just sit there as figureheads.
Okay, let me ask you this. If you're not there in attendance, how are you going to speak to the new members coming on board this HOA in regards to current activities of the board in order to make sure that you're sending that new member off with the most proper and correct information?
We get that at our meetings and we watch the YouTube if we have the absent at the meeting.
Well, I don't have a problem, but the thing about it is if you're not here, how are you going to hear it straight from, I'm going to steal the line from some people that have used it before, straight from the horse's mouth?
We do get the information though, in other ways, but you're just talking about board meetings. You're not
Yes, ma'am,
talking
the
about
one at the end of the month. The
So
one
our
at the
SOP
end of the month.
Our SOP would have to be changed also. Is that correct? That'd have to be
I didn't know
included in our
that you
SOP.
guys had your own independent SOP, so that will definitely have to go back and be looked at. Yes.
Like I said, the consensus of the unit
Hey,
reps the
you
other day
know what
was,
you know what I consider an SOP, right?
yes. Thank you. Anyway, but that was the consensus of the unit reps on, when we had our meeting, that they were
Well,
in
again,
favor of this.
if it wasn't so important, why would, in our original founding document, would it say numerous, all right, numerous absences from attending the unit representative meetings without an apparent cause or excuse? You guys are specified in the bylaws. All we're trying to do is add the uniformity. No, just the regular board meeting at the end of the month when you must, you must be there, the same as the rest of us. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, just quickly to clarify, the only reason that we don't elect unit reps is because there's never enough people to volunteer. That's all. But they're elected, they should be elected, but there's no need for it because there's never enough volunteers.
Well, see here, that's where the original section also needs to be looked at. But again, when we started this conversation with the corporate attorney, he says, let's do this in very small sections. He says, because he doesn't want to overwhelm people. All right, yeah, well, that's probably so well true, Val. Oh,
Sheila Walsh, Unit 3. I was at that meeting, and I don't think we didn't approve of the whole section. But if the board has the power to remove or one of their directors, why can't the chairman and the vice chairman and the body of all the unit reps decide if that person should be removed? If they're part of the board, but we're our own entity, why can't the chairperson and vice chairperson make that decision?
because in the bylaws and the rules and regulations, the board is ultimately responsible. These 7 elected members that sit in front of you, month after month for at least 2 to 3 years, depending upon whatever we're elected to or appointed to. We are accountable to you, all right?
So we're not accountable to you. We're just accountable to our group of unit reps.
No, because you're appointed by the board. You're appointed by the board, or approved. Approved, appointed, semantics. But the thing about it is why would we put an attendance policy in place that would differ from the same standard that we're holding?
Oh, I agree with the 3 consecutive meetings. That's not the issue, is our group of unit reps should decide if they need to be removed or excused or whatever. If we're our own little arm.
Again, the board is ultimately responsible. We appoint the members as needed. We've got one coming this week. We've got a member for appointment. All right? This is all just about removing the term and the phrase numerous. Are we taking anything away? No.
Okay, and that's fine. And the other thing is, if you've already sent this to the printer, what's the point of our suggestions except to vote no?
That's totally an option available to you.
I
We
know,
wanted to
well-
and the thing about the bylaws, and I'm going to be blatantly honest with you,
I've written
some of these have not been touched since the Ming Dynasty, and they need to come to the 21st century. Specifically, like with the next section that we're going to go down to.
Right, but it's already been decided. So what's the point in our suggestions except to vote no?
Well, that's an option available to you, all right? And the thing about it is it's your vote. You're the one these were the proposed changes that were recommended by the attorney.
It would have made more sense to take our suggestions to the attorney and then send them to the printer.
We brought every discussion and every possibility to the attorney, everyone that we could think of. Are we perfect? No.
Can I just inject here?
I can't.
I will inject this at this point. You haven't included us. That's all that she's trying to say.
A lot of these are,
Before sending it to the printers, in case there were some concerns that are now being brought up.
and again, a lot of these were brought to us from the attorney to be made to our bylaws. All right?
Why couldn't you wait for the next election so you could have these conversations and go back to the attorney?
If a section is voted down, we will come back and say, let's clean up the verbiage text because we need to bring some of these current.
Well, that's kind of putting the horse out there and then
Well,
closing the gate and talking about it.
I agree, but I was tasked to bring this to you. Okay, our board president is off property. She has a personal matter. She is off property. A lot of these changes were to bring uniformity within the paperwork. All right? Our bylaws, Val, if I'm not wrong, our bylaws haven't been touched in how long? It's been a while. The last one was the CEO section and removing the word CEO.
And not having two members of a family on
Yeah.
board at the same time. Those are the only two items.
And that's I think that's the first time I've seen them touched in almost 12 years. Yes, nothing is written in stone. These bylaws can be revamped. And the thing about it is we want to give a section in there so that you can do that. Go ahead, Val.
Okay, I would think that the normal procedure would be you would bring up these issues at a Tuesday meeting, talk them over, listen to the audience, and then the board vote on them, and then they go to printing. Obviously, that hasn't happened, but today's meeting, at least we're able to voice our opinion, so let's focus on voicing our opinion so that people can either vote yes or no. If we disagree with their thought process, let's vote no.
Yes, and that's all it is these are your bylaws. These what our founding documents and stuff like that. They're for you to have the capability of modifying. All right?
Okay, Ken, a YouTube question. How many years have the unit reps been attending meetings?
I'm not sure the exact founding document that established the unit reps. In the last 12 and a half years that I've been here, I've only seen the unit reps done by appointment, and yet our paperwork at the founding under the bylaws stipulate that there'll be an election appointing them. I've never seen one in 12 years. Yeah.
The last 20 minutes.
Because I'm looking at 720 for the next statement, which is about the 6-year term limit.
No,
That
the
is
next section
Well,
will
the
be
next
for
one
the
after,
treasurer.
the next one after that, because the term limits are, we get to that, I will read 720 again.
All right, anybody else have anything so we can get on to the treasurer section? Do I need to read the removal portion of this, or should I just go ahead and read the proposed changes? Show me a quick sense of hands, how many want me just to read the proposed changes? I love each and every one of you, thank you. All right, the proposed changes for the treasurer's job description. The treasurer, under the supervision of the board and with the assistance of a bookkeeper, shall provide the day-to-day oversight on how funds of the accounts are spent and managed, and to be responsible for the financial records and reports to the board and to the membership, approval of the bills and sign the checks, oversee collection of assessments, maintains all financial records and reports, and is responsible for the preparation of the annual budget. Took a lot of the verbiage text out of that one. The motto for that one was basically KISS, keep it simple, stupid. There were a lot of processes that were listed in the other job descriptions that the treasurer just does not perform. We tried to clean it up and make it simple. Any questions in regards to that section? Okay. Let's go on to the section Jerry wants to read 720 on. I'll let him start by reading. He said that the term limits specified by 720 state 8. The neat thing about our bylaws is we have the ability. These are for us, ours individually. All right? This was done because we've been hearing the term limits since, what, 2014, 2012, somewhere back in there? Well, it's time that they be established. Is it the term limit, the way that it's written here, perfect? No. But should we find out that we want to go in and tweak a word or change a phrase, the big thing about this is to prove to you guys that it can be done. And it can be done by nothing more than a recommendation. We've heard multiple, and Mary, I think you'll agree. What was it, 2012 is when we started talking term limits for the board? Somewhere back in here? I don't remember that far back accurately, and that's why I rely on Val and Mary's story, because their memories are a little bit better than mine. All right, the key term in this, all right, this is a complete new section, so there's nothing to be outlined. No person is eligible to serve on the board for more than 6 consecutive years without first being off the board for at least 2 consecutive annual meetings. 2 consecutive annual meetings means basically 3 years off. 6 on, 3 off. An exception to this is a limitation as if the association at the annual meeting does not have enough eligible candidates to fill the board vacancies. All right, we just ran into that this last election go around, okay? The attorney sat and established protocol. The attorney said, elect the 3 that's continued to run for office, all right? And before the next board meeting, the board had to have received resumes, interviewed candidates, and appointed at that next board meeting. He has established the protocol for this. All right? If a board member resigns for any other reason other than medical, he or she must wait for a period of no less than 2 consecutive annual meetings. I don't think it's fair for you people to go through the process, and it is a process, all right? To run for office, get up here and say, well, flip it, I quit. Just because I don't like dealing with this person's interactions, all right? That's not right to you. That shows that they just don't care about you. As many of you will attest, when I started this process, I didn't quite have as many gray hairs as I do currently. All right? And they have to stay off for 2 consecutive, and we use the annual meeting. The annual meeting is the key phrase in that. All right? Is there any questions in regards to that? If so, please ask.
Okay, I just want to clarify that a couple of years ago, there were a bunch of candidates. One of them was somebody that had just quit and walked away within the month of being elected the year before. So I guess it wasn't in place, and I think that's a very important thing to keep in there.
There we go.
It's working. Okay, if you're gonna put term limits on, which I think is a great idea, why not add something about anybody that's running for the board has to live in here for 2 years or something before they're eligible to run for the board?
That was one of the sections that Steve had made comment to. He said the big thing of it was because we do not have the term limits in place currently, that would be considered And he says, bring this on in 2 sections. Don't, and I've got to agree with him on one thing. And I'll be the first to admit it. You show me a list of things I got to vote on that's this long, and guess what? Yes, no, 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 no. We didn't want to overwhelm, but yes, that is part of what is in the list of stuff that came from Steve. Okay, so. I don't care, ladies.
Okay, if we're going to, you're going to try to give them a breather and let them just have 2 terms, 6 years. And we only have, let's say there's 3 openings, 4 openings, and you only have 3 running, which would mean there's 3 on the board already. So you would have 6 board members there. Why would you have to do that again? Because our bylaws allow for us to have a minimum of 3 board members with up to 9 board members. So why would you want to allow these people to be back on if the whole idea is to give them off for the three years? Why would you just accept their resumes again? Because the whole idea is to do like a rotation of new people on the board, I'm assuming. So why even put that in there that they could go back on again? We can run a board on 4 people. We can run a board on 5 people. It doesn't
The
have to be
minimal
7.
amount that it says we can run on is 3.
Right, that's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
And that's, and Steve's recommendation on that, and this was his exact comment, all right, is this is the first time that this HOA has considered placing term limits in position. Why he wanted to leave that section, I'm not sure exactly. But the thing about it is the board that is seated, you know, like we did this last go-around, where we appointed one, okay? Nothing says that those other board members have to accept that other member back, because now we have something in place that says they must sit down for 3 years. You see what I'm saying?
I guess my question is, you're giving them the option to come back. And the whole idea is to give them the breather, because we want to change, then why would we even put an allowance in there for to come back again? We're trying to get turnover of the board with new people involved, bringing new blood into the development with new ideas. So why put that in there at all?
Because Steve said that we didn't want to get into a position, and this was the example that he used, is say the entire board rolled over. And at one point, you're going to have 4 elected officers coming out at the same time, okay? He did not want to cripple, and he used the term cripple an HOA. So he had to give us a little bit of variance in regards to flexibility, all right? It's totally up to the board members on whether they receive that person back. And we had, when we did this last appointment thing, we had like 5 candidates apply, 3 to 5, somewhere in there. I remember it was a long morning that morning. So I agree, it just needs to be watched. And I think we have enough conscientious membership to prevent that position from occurring.
But the final decision would be on the part of the board. The membership can say, voice their opinion, but it's up to the board to make the decision. It's not the membership has the right to make that decision. So if we feel as membership, we wouldn't want that person back on, for whatever reason it might be, and we feel we need to change, other than voicing our opinion, which may or may not change your opinion on the board, we really have nothing to say about it.
No, and I listen to each and every one of you. I've been accused of doodling up here. I take notes. I got a full notebook pad. But I do agree. And like I said, none of this is perfect. None of this is etched in stone. If we find that a specific sentence does not work for us, we've got a chance to either do it next November, or we can do it at the next election, which is March. What is it, March, Val? Okay. Mhm. At least two, it says at least 2 consecutive annual meetings. We come out at it, we get out at an annual, our term ends at an annual meeting and starts at an annual meeting. And that's why we use the reference to the annual meeting, because the annual meeting is normally held in March.
You're doing all these changes in the bylaws. Are you going to go through all the bylaws and make changes?
Yeah, a lot of them are going to be looked at, a lot of them are not going to be touched, because currently there's some of them that are actually very, very soundly written and very much appropriate for the time frame. Some are going to be touched, some aren't. The other thing of it is we're listening to you guys. Do I follow a lot of you on social media? Yeah, I do. Do I read just about everything you write? Just about. All right, if I think it's given an ounce of credence, do I go straight to my board president and say, let's discuss this? Yes, I've been known to do that on more than one occasion at 10:30 in the morning before I have my second pot of coffee. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, along with that, when you do have these discussions about making the changes, how can we be involved in those changes as I was not aware?
Now that we've got the list from Steve, all right, we're going to have more open meetings like this, and we're going to bring them to you in pretty much the same format like this via email, and then we're going to have a meeting like this. We're going to work out the process.
Okay, because I think
Okay,
that would
yeah, the big thing of it is we're so embroiled in processes here that at times you need to have a little bit of flexibility. And the big one to change was the treasurer's job description, because that treasurer's job description was very, very dangerous.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Lucy, go ahead.
Okay. I realize about 2 consecutive this and that, but do you realize, and I think of it, we have a nominating committee who decides who's going to be able to be qualified to run. Do those people get changed, or is it always the same people?
Well, see, that's the other thing that has been discussed, because, and herein lies the problem, is we've got a beautiful corps of volunteers all the way across this park. They have done some phenomenal things with next to nothing in regards to support from anyone, and they are a beautiful group of people. All right, some of these people have been in positions for more moons than I care to count. Okay, do we need to establish a rotation for that? Yes. We have an obligation to each and every one of us in order to create a turnover so that the continuous, fresh, and new ideas are always in play. All right, I may look at something, and because I've looked at it that way for so long, it makes sense to me. But it may not make sense to somebody else. All right, and these new ideas are the way that we continue to grow. We continue to become the community that we want to be.
Okay, and I'll just add at this point, there are other people that have been put in place for so long, and they automatically do what they're going to do about it. I'm talking about the people that handle how the votes are processed, how they're counted, how this and how that. And maybe people need to understand that we need fresh blood.
All right, here's a prime example. All right, we've got the election, the nominating committee is getting ready to go. Okay, I'm not sure. I haven't had a chance to check with Carol. Okay, I'm not sure if we've had anybody turn in their paperwork to run for the board. We've got 3 slots coming up. I think you're correct on the date. Wasn't sure, but I knew it was sometime in November. If we don't get the people to participate guess what, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna die on the vine. We've got to create a rotational system. All right, yes. The emails have been sent out. There's been numerous posts by the president of the HOA in regards to billets becoming available. All right, I think in the last 3 or 4 meetings that has been an habitual statement by the board president that we have slots available and that you need to turn in your applications. Don't see how we can get it any more simple unless we were to hand deliver it to your house. I love you, but I ain't doing it.
Well, I'm just saying that I get emails from the Brookridge, but I have not received any in regards to elections.
No, we haven't either. Nothing.
Been in the news and views for the last 2 go-rounds. Yeah. Yeah.
Vivian Blair, Unit 4. I just want clarification on this, and I don't mean anything against any personal people, but I need to put it in the context that I can understand. With the 6-year consecutive, if they run that long, then they're going to be off the board. We have a board member that's been there in excess of 10 years. Now, if this gets passed with the budget, that means that person will not be able to run next March. Let me finish, please. Next March, unless we don't have enough candidates, then will she automatically be able to run again?
She would have to go through the process. She would have to submit her application to the board for appointment.
And when is the expiration date on that again, please, sir?
All right, anything that we vote on, all right, this is the process. If we vote on it in November, all right, it's knock on wood, say it's accepted, okay? 60 days from the date of approval, because we have so many days to file it. We must file it in the county clerk records of records. 60 days from that date, then it becomes effective. What this change will do will, in essence, not this year, but next year, be in full force in order to create this rotation. Yeah. It's 60 days from the time that we file it. It becomes gospel, per se, due to lack of a better word. Yeah.
What happens if their term is not completed?
When we go to the annual meeting, that is the completion of the term. The board appointees and the elected board officials, we start at the annual meeting and we end at the annual meeting. That is our quote-unquote calendar year, unlike the fiscal year, which is what our budget runs on. Yeah, Lucy?
Okay, correct me if I'm not correct, but there will be 3 positions available for people to try to get on the board, because 3 positions, one that's never yet been filled because the person walked, and 2 because their time is up. Now, when she's speaking about that one person, her time is up. She has to reapply to be reelected.
Yeah, she has to go through the whole process, the same as anybody else will. That she has to fill out an application, she has to get through the nominating committee, and go the full process. All right? The thing about this is this will not, quote unquote, affect this election. All right, but it will get the next one. There's a lag time in what we do, and I can't make that lag time go away. It's specified by the county, specified by the state, and a few other legal entities that have acronyms that I just don't even want to fathom reading.
So I just want to clearly tell people out there, there are 3 positions to be filled for the board, which will be voted on into February, into March.
Yes.
Basically, if they feel they can be nominated, they feel they can serve, they feel they can contribute, they should put their name in before November 7th, put their resume in.
Yes. All right. Can we go back to this for 1 second? Let's look at Article 11, Section 1. All right. That is in regards to your bank, specifically in regards to the reserve funding. Okay? The underlined section is the changes. All right? Any bank certificate of deposit or money market accounts. All right? We went on to add insured by the FDIC. The specific placement of any BCPO funds require a simple majority vote of the board of directors. All right, the way that was worded before is the treasurer could move them, and at his leisure or the next meeting or whenever he or she decided, they could notify us of the move. You people want transparency, and the only way to bring it back is to bring it back to controlled board. A simple majority. Does it mean all 7 of us have to agree on what fund that account money is moving into? No. The odds of getting 7 people to agree to each other are slim to none, trust me. All right, but we brought it back to a simple majority vote. All right, the board members will let you know when the account is coming up due. Because for the first time in a long time, this was one of the first things that Ms. Webster worked on, is she created a spreadsheet so that we know when it went in, when it came out. Okay? And we didn't want one person, and just to have one person in control of 2 whatever million it is, all right, I saw and I agree is a very dangerous thing. Go ahead, Liz.
Okay, when you say the board has to agree to an account change, either CD or money market, I totally agree, that's fine, but does the board do that with their private meetings, or do they put it all out there for the members to know when things are due, how they're going to process it to the next phase or next step? Do we even know where those
All right, let me
accounts are?
explain. Okay. Yeah, if you go down and ask, you'll be able to see everything except account numbers. Okay?
And what they are using?
All right, so that you understand, the board has one option available to us, and that would be to take a consensus vote. A consensus vote requires that one board member call all the others and say, how do you vote on this object? The law also stipulates and specifies that if a consensus vote is used, it must be disclosed at the next meeting. Flat out, it must be disclosed. With the spreadsheet being generated on the accounts now, it makes it easier for our bookkeeper and everybody involved with the reserve funds to know, wait a minute, we got one coming up. Let's start looking for new, where we're going to get our best interest from. Sometimes it requires us to take it out of that specific lending institution. Sometimes it doesn't. All right, but it also gives us the capability of, all right, we moved X amount of dollars from this account and moved it into this mode of operation at this time. And you'll have more information than what we've had ever in the past.
Which is is a good move, and I just would add at this point where I need to clarify in my own mind is the board they'll talk among each other, they'll make a decision about whether that's a good move when it's time to make the move, but they only have to notify the people that attend the meetings that it happened. They don't have to do it in front of whoever attends the board meeting. It's going to be decided privately.
No. It
I
can,
just want to know how it's going to be done, that's all.
it can be done at a board meeting. Sometimes we've got enough advance notice that we'll be able to discuss it right at the board meeting. All right? The last one that came due, we got 4 days notice from the bank. Sorry. The financial lending institutions, because of the changes and stuff, and with this COVID that just ran through us rampantly, things are still all messed up. But we thought it was important, very, very important, that the control of the reserve funding and any of the accounts that involve BCPO members' funds be discussed in front of you. And that's why the changes in the verbiage text. We wanted you to become more of an active participant than you have ever had before.
Okay, and that's it. You answered it. You did. But it didn't say specifically it's going to be done this way or that way. But I could understand what you just said. Thank you.
Okay, I understand where you're going, and I agree, but I don't think we're the Congress of the United States of America that have to generate a fiduciary budget this big and explain things to everybody. Yeah. All right. Got any other questions? We're going to go to the last section, and then we're going to thank everybody. Do I have anything on YouTube or no?
Nothing right now. No.
Okay, thank you. All right. The final section. All right. We changed October to September. All right. Your board members get approved or get in office in March. We had to generate some lead time in there, so we changed it from October to September. All right. We also took away fax or scan. All right. If you're going to fax a voting certificate in, it's not good. You want everybody to know how you voted because your phone number is going to show up on the top of that fax sheet. The object is to maintain confidentiality and integrity of the ballot. All right, we had to take fax and scan off of it. The other thing of it is I've heard this discussed on social media platforms about balloting, okay? We're trying to protect the balloting process, all right? By using fax or scan. Yeah, that was done a long time ago. Does it protect the confidentiality of the ballot? Not in any fashionable way. So we had to remove fax or scan. We want you to be able to vote, okay? All right? And we added a line that says, if Florida statute is amended from time to time. What that does is that means that if the state of Florida, in its infinite amount of wisdom, for those of you that have been around a while, we voted out daylight savings time 5 years ago, we're still waiting. All right, is if 720 or a section of 720 in regards to the delivery of the voting system or anything like that changes, that gives that section the ability to adapt. Okay? Yeah, go ahead, Liz.
This does not pertain to that, but I think it's a good time to inject it. The voting process. Things would change, things were added, how things would be done, then things were taken away. People are concerned about whether their vote counts, whether there's been some security enhancement to make sure that your vote has been counted and there's been no interference. So this might be another time to discuss it.
Yeah, I think that is a good workshop question. I think that is a time, the workshop would be a good point. Being that we're this close to the election, I think there are certain issues that we need to have dispelled at this time. We have tried our best to bring to the membership alterations in our bylaws that are going to be for the benefit. And each, unlike it's been done before in the past, you will be able to vote on each and every one of these sections, yes or no. Okay? Val, go ahead.
Okay, it says, or online voting. The way that this is written, I interpret it that we are obligated to offer online voting. And it's very expensive.
The last time I priced online voting, okay, I'm going to put this out very, very frankly. The last time I heard a quote or a figure for online voting, it was like $1,700. 49.
So what I suggest,
Because 720 stipulates it, we have to make it so that our ruling is inclusive. If you guys choose not to use online voting, and all it requires is that you bring it to us and say, we no longer want to do this due to cost restrictions or cost preventiveness. Again, with that, you're also going to hear the fallout from the proverbial seasonal snowbirds, whatever you want to, and however you choose to address them.
can we put in here where it says by mail or when board of directors vote to use online voting system, blah, 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 blah. That way there's a vote.
Well, we also went to the point, and it's in our, if I remember right, it's referred to once in our rules and regulations, and it's also included in 720 in regards to the online. The kicker about the online, I'm going to be blatantly honest with you, is run by our current corporate attorney. But the thing about it is he is one of the few that offer it in the area. Well, I would say so, but I'm nobody. But I'm only one. Yeah, Mary.
Ken, I just want to clarify one thing. When you're saying that the board shall present an operating budget, and you're going to do it the Wednesday meeting, is that presenting it to the residents? Because normally, the meeting, before it's presented to the residents, it gets presented to the board. They have it for that length of time, and then it gets presented to the residents. So I'm not sure what this present to means.
I had a lot of questions in regards to that, so I can answer that, all right? The way that the procedure should have run, and no procedure is perfect in any fashionable way. When the committee brings the budget to the board, we should have received it from the committee. We should have had 1 2-week period in order to evaluate it, and then we bring it back to the membership. Is the way that it should have been done. Along the way, certain things were not clarified at that point. All right, was it questionable? Yeah, it's a procedural item. We've embroiled, I'll be honest with you, Mary, we've embroiled ourselves in so many procedures that it doesn't afford you, it actually handcuffs you guys, and it handcuffs each and every one of us. Do we need certain things procedurally explained? Yes. Do we need certain things to have a certain amount of flexibility? Yes. Because not every situation is written in stone. All right? What I consider an excused absence, somebody else might have grief with. I don't know. The big thing of it is, is we're trying to afford flexibility, and I'm not sure how to do this unless we make a congressional document that's 7,632 pages in depth.
But my question is that the presentation in September at the BOD meeting is the one that's going to be presented to the membership? That's what I want to know, not the one to the board. That is the one that goes to the membership, is what you're saying?
Yes, the one in September is the one that will go to the membership.
Okay, thank you.
All right, again, like I said, any of these changes will not take effect till 60 days post the filing of the whatever the outcome is. All right,
Okay.
there's a mandatory lead time. Yeah.
I understood, Carol, that these have already gone to the printer along with the budget.
Yes, ma'am.
Why weren't these on the agenda at a board meeting as proper protocol?
And I agree. All right, the big thing of it was to get these out to the membership. All right, and the membership, here's the thing, is if I'm not mistaken, the workshop top of the month was canceled, if I remember correctly. So there was nothing procedurally that could be done. But we wanted to afford you guys the chance to talk.
Yeah, but
Well-
doesn't the board have to, when they're on the agenda, the board has to vote on these before they even go to print?
That's why the corporate attorney was brought in along for the ride. We try not to do anything without advisement of the attorney, because he's the one that ultimately has to make the legal interpretation. Has he done that all the way through this? Yes, and a lot of them came from him for changes, proposed changes to our bylaws from him. Okay?
Ken, so basically what you're, okay, I can't, it doesn't sound like it, can you? So basically what you're saying is the attorney, our attorney, gave you guys permission to write these up, put them into our budget, and not take a vote on it? Because that's what I'm sort of hearing, but I could be wrong.
Some of these are required in order to come in compliance with the changes that have been made on 7/20. Now, there's another group of changes that were made and dated June 22nd of this year, all right, in regards to our screening process. So, and
But that's
I
not
just thought it was funny that here it is September and we're just hearing of a viable change. So there's a lag time in regards to getting information all the way around. Was this done perfectly by any standard? No. Do I agree with what you're saying? Yes. Do I want to make the changes appropriately? Yes. But we thought these changes were important enough in order just to get them out.
Okay, so, all right, in the future, would you not think it would be better to have a question and answer session with the membership prior to and hear what they have to say before you put it?
As I
this
have
way?
stated before, procedurally, this one was questionable, all right, but we thought they were important enough to come. On the next group, will there be a question and answer before they go? Yes, very much so, all right? I'm learning as I'm going along. There's nothing.
But in another 4 months, we have another vote coming up, and these could have been on with our election, and it done in the proper form, basically, because if these were brought out to the people, you guys voted on them, we have another ballot that's coming out in January. We could have had a meeting to talk about it, and it could have been on the March ballot for the residents to really understand better, and it had been done in the proper protocol. Bad move.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can the lawyers come?
Wait.
I I think we have a lot of questions for this lawyer who makes the decisions. Can he come and speak at one of our meetings?
It's, every time the attorney comes on site, we have to pay travel pay, plus we have to pay an hourly rate.
So
All
can he
right, trust me, his email rate is a whole lot cheaper than,
Right, but not everybody reads the email. I mean, we spend so much money like on buying trucks and stuff. We couldn't pay the lawyer to come one time to the general meeting and be asked questions. Is it gonna cost, hundreds and hundreds of dollars?
okay, let me ask you this. Okay, what line item do we bury that legal expense under? Because it's not, it's legal per se, but it's for general questioning. And our legal column is for
I'm
litigation
talking
and stuff.
about legal questions about what he's made decisions for the community. Zoom would work.
I've only had one Zoom meeting with him, and it was real grainy. It was hard to hear and see him. I don't know if it was on our side or his, but that's not an unheard of viability. If that's what you guys would like, I would like to, as soon as we get Annie back on property, discuss it with her. You know?
He has questions about the changes he's made in the bylaws. I'm not talking about personal reasons to speak to a lawyer, but community reasons.
Yeah, our corporate attorney, in the years that I've been here, I've only seen attend the annual meeting, so I'm not sure. Go ahead, Mary.
Ken, you had talked about a line item. If it can't go under attorney, we have a sheriff that shows up at every meeting we're paying $90 for what we're not sure. And that goes under miscellaneous. So put that attorney fee under miscellaneous.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I'm not an accountant. I have to trust what people in the office tell me. So I'm sort of limited that way. Go ahead, Val.
Under previous administrations, we were allowed to, as members, write questions about the bylaws or suggestions for the bylaws to be voted on, and then they would go on the agenda to be voted on by the board. Will we be ever allowed that opportunity in the future?
The big thing of it is like I said, these changes came up so quickly. Were there a lot of questionables? Yeah, but we had to work with the attorney specified them. All right, I'm trying to make the best decisions that we can. All right, I understand what you're saying. Yes, you guys, they're your bylaws, and we're garnished to protect them. But we also have to be able to modify them accordingly. All right, go ahead.
I would like to make a statement that Val had said. I just want to say, I had a recommendation for a change in one of the bylaws, and it went to Carol and went no further. I got a denial letter with some nonsense on it.
All right,
Just want people to know that.
Can you get me a copy of?
I sure can.
All right, now, huh?
Carol will give you one.
Okay, well, I gotta go down there here in a little bit, so. All right, Mary, can we make this the last statement or question, please?
No problem.
The membership, I don't want to keep you guys here all day and continue to go.
Can we as members know who was in on the decision-making to change these amendments? What board members? We know Carol is, but can we know what board members put this together? We as members should have a right to know that if we had absolutely no say or whatsoever in what went on and what went into the vote. So you said it was a few board members that got together to do this with the general manager. I'm asking what board members they were, and we should have the right to know that.
If I'm not mistaken, I'll be honest with you, one was myself, Okay, the other one was your board president, Ms. Ann Webster. All right, the one that's dropped in and out of these meetings was Rosemary. Okay, and it was just in regards to looking at verbiage text and discussing the verbiage text that we were hearing from legal counsel.
So who actually initiated it then? Who actually initiated it? If the board members didn't sit down and you were just in on clarifying the verbiage, who's the one that actually drew these up?
It was a combination between that group and the attorney.
Who initiated it?
Not sure.
Okay, thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, give me a holler, please. Thank you.
Thank you. You were very patient.